It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to tonight's live recording of BBC World Questions in Rabat.
Thank you for your time, thank you for your patience. It's wonderful to be here, especially during Ramadan, which is such a special time both here and across the Muslim world. I lived in Turkey for 4 years and it was a great honour to enjoy Ramadan there. It's been a great honour to be here as well, so thank you. If we are recording, we'll kick off, yeah? Right, I need to start with a round of applause. I know I haven't done any work yet, but if we could start with, oh, forgive me, you want to do long billboard? We have done one. You want to do it again? Talk to me, Charlie. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick recording of something that will go before the news bulletin, which you won't hear, but will go out on the broadcast, then a small introduction, and then we'll get on with it. When I raise my arm, it would be very nice if you could clap very loudly. This is the BBC World Service. I'm Johnny Diamond in Rabat with a panel of politicians and experts from Morocco ready to face questions from the audience here in front of us. Morocco aspires to be a regional trading hub, a financial services centre for Africa, a tourist destination, and a world leader in renewable energy. Many of those ambitions are within its grasp, but stiff challenges remain: environmental, educational, social, and economic challenges which it shares with many neighbours here in North Africa. Meanwhile, Morocco faces the reality of higher prices on imported goods as the war in Ukraine drives up the cost of wheat and fuel. Representatives of governments past and present, opposition and civil society leaders are with me, facing an audience who will hear their questions addressed and have their voices heard. That's World Questions coming up after the BBC News. World Service. I'm Johnny Diamond and welcome to Morocco and BBC World Questions, the programme that puts people and their questions at the heart of the debate. Our partner is the British Council, which connects the UK and the world through arts, culture, education and the English language. And we are very pleased to say that after an interruption of 2 years, we're back on location with an audience here in Rabat, the capital of Morocco. This country is a parliamentary democracy and constitutional monarchy where the Crown has extensive powers. It's part of both the Arab world and the African, with strong links to both and to the Middle East. Its huge phosphate reserves mean it's integral to world food security. Its solar power array is the largest on the planet, and from the Rif Mountains in the north to the Anti-Atlas in the south, its enticing landscape, architecture and cultures draws visitors from all over the world. It's the most vaccinated country in Africa and has controlled COVID well, but at some cost, not least to its tourist industry, and the whole country is facing challenges and change in this unsettled times. There are some subjects which are judged too sensitive to address directly in open debate here, but we have an audience who have freely offered challenging questions on the issues most important to them, and an influential panel very ready to address them. Younes Sakuri MP is a cabinet member and Minister for Economic Inclusion. He's a member of the Authenticity and Modernity Party, which was part of a coalition that won a resounding victory in the general election last autumn. Mustafa El Khafi is a well-known figure in Morocco, having been the government spokesman and Minister for Communications for many years before his party, the Islamist PJD, suffered a cataclysmic collapse in that election last year. Manal Alatir is a social entrepreneur and promotes women's participation in society and the economy through her leadership of Asila and of the Womenomics Foundation. Finally, Khawla Lashka is a member of the National Council of the Social Democratic USFP, the largest party of opposition. She was one of the authors of that party's election manifesto. That is our panel here in Morocco. Let us go straight to our first question, and it is from Suad Kabili. Suad.
My question was, how do you think Morocco and the rest of the world will be affected by the Russian and Ukraine war?
Thank you very much. Suad Kabili, the question, how do you think Morocco and the rest of the world will be affected by the Russian and Ukraine war? Mustafa.
Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this great program. Yes, the impact was so huge, and we are still suffering from the implication of this war, mainly here in Morocco. Oil prices, food prices, cereals, many things that Morocco is importing, and the price is so high. So the implications is going to reshape many economic and social policies, not only in Morocco, but in the whole region. And for this reason, from the beginning, Morocco said that we are taking the position of neutrality. We are not going to be on this side or this side, no. But at the same time, we are encouraging all parties to find the political solution to this problem. This is a huge crisis, and the implications will be so huge. Thank you.
Juana, you are in opposition. Do you oppose the government's position on the Russia-Ukraine war?
I don't think that the government position on the Russia-Ukraine war is a position that will surprise any Moroccan citizen globally. As was said, the war in Ukraine is something unfortunate. We're very sorry for the people of Ukraine. Nobody wants war on its land. We are pro the territorial integrity of countries and nations, and this is a red line, I would say, coming from Morocco, and from a country who battles for the recognition of its total territory from Tangiers to La Guaira. At the same time, we think that the best way is to go back to negotiations, to try to find a common ground. But if I would answer the question of the lady, I would say, yes, the impact is higher prices. Yes, the impact before higher prices is lives that people are losing, either because of death or because of the mess that happens in Eastern Europe and in Ukraine specifically. But maybe this can be also, if I go after the crisis that comes with the COVID pandemic, maybe this is another opportunity for the world to come up with real solutions for United Nations role, for example, in managing conflicts, for developing new economic growth leverages. We know that Europe is trapped with this problem of energy. So this is the main reason Europe is involved in this war somehow.
And therefore an opportunity for Morocco?
An opportunity for all countries. It's not opportunistic what I'm saying. It's an opportunity for the globe. We need to shift to non-fossil energies. And this is one of the signs brought by this war that should warn us for, I hope, the last time to move.
Well, thank you very much. Yunus, you're in the Cabinet, you're Minister for Economic Inclusion. You must be desperately concerned about the rising prices hitting citizens in Morocco, and they must already be hurting.
Well, thank you for your invitation, and I would like also to
coming.
congratulate the public for the enthusiasm and the wonderful applause and smiles, and Ramadan Mubarak Saeed. Well, let me say two things, basically. The first one is there are necessarily long and short-term consequences of any war. This war is very specific, and it's happening in Europe, and it's definitely going to shift the international relations rules, and I think that the position of Morocco is a position that encourages dialogue and specific resolution paths. I also think that when a major war is happening, sometimes we need wise people to help the war stop. And I think that there are definitely economic implications that all the countries all around the world are living in terms of value chain organization, in terms of shipment, in terms of importations, in terms of fuel and other goods prices. But I guess that these are short-term effects. We have also some specific issues with the students coming from Ukraine. We have something like 7,000 students that we had to get out from Ukraine, and Morocco was successful in bringing every single Moroccan student who wanted to get back to Morocco, and we're studying in the cabinet how to make them not lose the their scholar curriculum, etc. And believe me, it's a huge work that we're doing, because some of them are in pharmaceuticals, others are doctors in medicine, others are in engineering, and so many disciplines. And of course, we're looking forward to, and we hope that this war will stop. And of course, we will be very close to all the parties within an ethical position of Morocco that is well known for decades now. Morocco is a country of principles, of ethics, and of civilizational, let's say, wisdom, hopefully.
Thank you, Yunus. Manal, the question from Suad: how do you think Morocco will be affected by the Russian and Ukraine war?
Well, they've said it all.
I will come to you first again.
Well, what I think, adding to my colleagues, there's something that's going to end up at the end is widening the public debt. So I think this is a realistic fact that's going to happen. I think I want to come back to how it's going to affect the usual person, right? Like, what was your name? Saad, you know, how is Saad going to be affected? And I think that at the end of the day, she's going to feel it in her pocket, meaning the prices are getting higher in terms of all the goods that we are buying, and it's affecting the most vulnerable. And I think the war in Russia and Ukraine only exacerbated this inflation that's going on. I do want to say one thing in terms of the global part of it, which is in terms of the impact. I think that this war in Ukraine and Russia has also shed the light on the hypocrisy on the global community. And when I say hypocrisy, I talk about how we see the world mobilize around behind one country. And when I talk about other countries that have been in conflict, like in Palestine or Yemen, we haven't seen such a shout, such a mobilization in terms of the country. What we call today in Ukraine armed forces as being resistant and heroism was called in Palestine terror. Was called in Palestine terrorism. So I think that a lot of the time when we are here, we say, well, it's not the time to talk about this because people are dying. Yes, people are dying. This is exactly the right time to shed the light on this issue. And how do we move forward to move this conversation to actual actions? And it all comes to definitions at the end of the day. Who defines terrorism and who defines developing countries? Where, to me, developing country or developing world is a world. The more you tell us developing world, it's like a little kid who's growing up and you tell you're a stupid kid, he's going to believe he's a stupid kid. So that's what I believe. I hope that the impact from this is to realization and awareness in the world that we have to be fair. So.
Thanks, Manal. Yunus, can I come back to you very briefly? That the Moroccan government was amongst a fairly small number of governments that did not condemn the Russian invasion. In fact, it did not even vote. Why was that at the United Nations that the Moroccan government did not join in the nearly universal condemnation of the Russian government?
I think that the position of Morocco was very clear. And there was an official communique where the statement was that Morocco is for any peaceful solution. Morocco wants to be part of the solution. And I think that it helped, and the proof is that there were, last week, there was a call with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, as there was another one with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia. So I would see Morocco as a good asset, rather than we're not near to, geographically, to this region. And I think that countries like Morocco and not some other countries can help bring a solution rather than exacerbate the conflict. But because by the end of the story, even the Ukrainians themselves, the Western world, all those who want peace, they want to work for peace, and there are different paths. And I think that Morocco showed in the past, and is still showing, that Morocco has always been a peaceful country against the use of force, is for the respect of the sovereignty and the territorial integrity for any UN member state. So I think that it's very clear. But let me tell you, we want to be part of the solution. I think that we're working on that.
Thank you very much, Yunus. Thank you. Suad, can I ask you, I mean, you asked the question, what do you think the main effect on Morocco will be of the war?
Well, obviously the rise of prices in all aspects of food and the gas and all of that. And I also saw like statistics a few weeks ago showing that Morocco is one of the countries that rely the most on food exports from Ukraine. So that shows that we have a great loss compared to other countries. That's why I asked the questions, because that made the realization that perhaps we need to expand our relations with other countries to rely on exports coming from other countries and not just focus on one main country to rely on food sources, for instance. So.
Lovely. Thanks, Suad. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you to our panel for that first answer.